my sister wives that I'm leaving.
It began with silence. Not the peaceful kind that settles at the end of a long day, but the heavy, suffocating kind that fills a room after too many words have already been spoken. The Brown family, once held together by faith, love, and a shared dream of unity, now stood on the edge of collapse. Christine sat in the kitchen table where so many birthdays, disagreements, and tears had taken place. The overhead light flickered like it wasn't sure if it wanted to illuminate what remained of this family. She ran her fingers over the grain of the wood, recalling all the nights they'd all been here, Kody bellowing with laughter, Janelle smiling silently, Robyn sitting as peacekeeper, Mary acting like everything was okay. Now she was alone. She held her breath and breathed softly to herself. Justice. Truth. Goodbye. Phrases that had lingered within her chest for months, hoping for the day she'd be brave enough to speak them. The last few weeks had been hell. All encounters with Kody had become a battle of wills, his voice louder, his patience thinner, his pride unbreakable. He craved control. She craved harmony. But harmony and control cannot be lived together, and they both knew it. Kody stalked back and forth on the porch, phone clamped to his ear, voice crisp and authoritative. He wasn't speaking to Christine, at least not any longer. He was speaking about her. To Robyn, to attorneys, to whoever would listen. She's attempting to destroy everything I've worked for, he grumbled. Everything I've done for this family? But Christine was aware of the truth. He didn't construct it, they did. Every wife had sacrificed aspirations, autonomy, and bits of themselves to create something that was never equitably balanced. And now, that disequilibrium had finally come crashing down. Janelle had seen it coming all along before the rest. Her friendship with Christine had become stronger amidst the chaos. Late-night calls, hushed frustrations, and shared tears had become their norm. You can't keep fighting a man who doesn't want to see you, Janelle said to her one night. You deserve better than being invisible. Those words lingered with Christine like an anchor and a lifeline simultaneously. As the filming cameras rolled through those last few months, the smiles, the scripted conversations, the tense unease in each scene. But behind the cameras, it was worse. There were money meetings, interminable negotiations over land, property, and ownership. Coyote Pass had transcended being a piece of property. It was a metaphor for Kody's fixation on control and the resentment building within his wives. Behind the scenes, Kody and Robyn had been shuffling money, quietly, strategically, legally suspect at times. Christine refused to believe it at first, but when she discovered the folder marked K&R Holdings, it all fell into place. Bank transfers, property deeds, investments, all passed through names she didn't know. When she mentioned it, Kody didn't deny it. He simply stared at her with that same smirk that he'd practiced all those years. You don't understand business, he'd said. No, she said softly. I understand betrayal. That's when she knew she was done. Mary had already retreated from the madness, hanging in the background, ghost rather than participant. Robyn, on the other hand, did her thing. The victim, the peacekeeper, the misunderstood. But Christine had moved beyond the script. She wasn't concerned about how TLC would cut it. She didn't care about sympathy from the public. She wanted truth. And so she started keeping it all on record. Conversations, dates, discrepancies in cash, everything. Not for revenge, but for clarity. For the future. For her kids. One night, as the sun set behind the mountains, Christine sat with Janelle in her living room. The two women sat in comfortable silence before Janelle spoke. He'll never confess it, Janelle said. Not until it's too late, Christine nodded. Then perhaps it is time he knows what too late actually means. That evening, Christine journaled. Tomorrow I end it. The next day she did. Kody showed up, already defensive, already in a rage. You're not going to ruin this family just because you can't deal with it anymore, he snarled. Christine held firm. I'm not wrecking anything, Kody. You already did that when you quit thinking of us as human beings and began treating us like property. For a very long moment, they glared at each other, two human beings who once were bound by love, now bound only by hurt. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the window. Inside, Christine took off her wedding ring and placed it on the table between them. The metallic sound of it hitting the wood was louder than any argument they'd ever had. "This isn't yours anymore," she said quietly. Kody's jaw clenched. "You'll regret this." "I already regret staying this long." It was finished. Not the marriage, not the family, the facade. The fantasy that all was well if they just kept on pretending. But this wasn't the end of the story, because as Christine walked out, she had no concept that her choice would initiate a chain of events that would rock the entire Brown family to its very foundation. Money, secrets, lies. The cameras never stopped rolling. TLC had a tale to share, but this time Christine was going to share hers. And as she shut the door behind her, for the first time in years, silence felt like freedom. The next morning, after Christine had left, Flagstaff seemed to be colder. Not because of the temperature, but because something was different. Something fundamental and irreversible. The Brown family, which had once represented unity, piety, and non-traditional love, was now a warning story. The word spread quicker than Christine would have ever dreamed. TLC producers phoned nonstop, cameras trailed cars, and rumors spread wider online. "Christine left Kody!" the headlines screamed, but nobody really had any idea what that really meant. Nobody but those within that family. For years, Kody was the heart of the sister wives' world. Charming, boisterous, mercurial. He was the dad, the leader, the glue. But without Christine, that heart started to break. Suddenly, Janelle wasn't picking up his phone calls as frequently. Mary ceased to defend him. Even Robyn's formerly unwavering enthusiasm began to exhibit signs of burnout. Kody, though, couldn't see it. He was blind to his own demise, holding on to the belief that control equaled power. He viewed Christine's leaving as betrayal, not liberation. "She's trying to humiliate me," he said to Robyn one evening, pacing around the living room. His words were edgy, shaking not with sorrow but anger. "She's turning them against me, all of them." Robyn sat silently, wiping away her tears. She wished she could comfort him, soothe the storm, but secretly she was frightened. For she knew Christine wasn't the only one thinking of going away. Meanwhile, Christine was starting to breathe once more. For the first time in years, her home was quiet, but it wasn't lonely. The silence was therapeutic. Her children picked up on it too. Truly smiled more, the tension that used to hover over every dinner now absent. It was odd, foreign, but good. Nevertheless, there was guilt. Decades of emotional programming don't just erase themselves overnight. She'd spent decades putting Kody's moods first, his desires, his delicate sense of control. And even as she carried her new life on her back, a small part of her couldn't help but think she'd made a mistake. Janelle was her rock. The two women met frequently, sometimes to discuss things, sometimes simply to sit in silence. One night, Janelle came over with a box of papers. Dusty financial reports, investment documents, scribbled notes from the family's joint venture. She put them on Christine's kitchen counter and said, "You have to see this." They had pages of withdrawals, signatures, and transactions inside, things that didn't balance. Christine's stomach turned as she thumbed through the files. Transfers by Family Traditions LLC into another account, one titled K&R Holdings. "Is this what I think it is?" Christine breathed. Janelle slowly nodded. "He's been transferring money for years." "You weren't nuts." "You were right." Christine grew dizzy. The pieces fell into place. The evasive explanations of the family budget, the missing money, the way Kody had always dodged openness. He'd led them to think the family was struggling when in reality he was padding accounts accessible to him and Robyn alone. The reality was printed in black and white. Within a week, Christine and Janelle both consulted attorneys. What had begun as a dramatic breakup was fast becoming something more, a legal showdown. And Kody had no notion it was coming. At home, Kody was coming apart. The cameras picked up on it, but the actual breakdown occurred when the lights were out. At night, he paced rooms, talking incoherently to himself. They don't understand loyalty. They don't understand family. But loyalty without respect is merely control. and Kody's control was slipping away from him. Robyn was the first to notice the difference. His temper, previously controlled, now blew at the slightest things. A misplaced bill, a producer's remark, even silence made him irate. "You think you're the only one suffering?" he shouted one evening. "They're making me out a monster, Robyn. I gave them everything." Robyn didn't respond. She just looked at him, a man so consumed by his need to be right that he couldn't see the truth. He had already lost. Meanwhile, Christine was meeting quietly with her attorney. "If this goes public," the lawyer said, "it won't just be about the money. It'll be about reputation." "He'll fight back hard," Christine nodded. "Let him. I've fought harder battles than this." But Christine didn't know that Kody had already begun preparing his own defense, and that TLC was filming it all with cameras at the ready. They viewed the story not as tragedy, but as gold to be mined on television. Weeks went by before filming resumed on Family Updates, but everyone knew what it actually was, the storm's prelude. The crew arrived at Kody's home first. He was willing to shoot but not to say Christine's name. "She doesn't exist to me anymore," he told the camera, ironing a wrinkle out of his shirt in front of the mirror. She made her choice. But when the cameras were rolling, something snapped. He began calmly, discussing moving on, about faith, about perseverance. But then he lost it. "You know what hurts?" he declared, looking directly into the camera lens. "I built this family. I gave up everything. And now they treat me like I'm the bad guy." He banged his hand on the table, scattering papers everywhere. "I'm not the bad guy! They are!" the producer quietly whispered. "Cut." But Kody didn't stop. He stood up, knocking the chair backward. "You want your story? Here's your story. I'm the man who tried to hold a broken family together while everyone else gave up." The room went silent. That scene never aired in full. TLC edited around the outburst. But everyone who was there knew it was the beginning of something bigger. A lawyer letter appeared on Kody's doorstep days later. Christine and Janelle's lawyers had formally sued, calling for complete disclosure of every family business account. As Kody read it, his hands trembled. He balled up the paper and breathed softly. "They're coming for me." Robyn attempted to soothe him, but he was not hearing her. His head spun. He thought of all the money transferred, all the falsehoods spoken, all the alibis created, and for the first time, he understood the one thing he'd never thought through. What happens when the truth finally surfaces? The man who was once at the hub of a vast family dynasty was on the verge of encountering the one thing he could not master: justice. Christine had walked away, but she wasn't finished. The next morning that the notice was legally served to Kody, a storm swept through Flagstaff. Gray clouds, drizzling rain, and thunder that shook the windows. It was as if it were poetic. Christine sat by the window with her tea, observing the rain pounding against the glass. She had prayed year after year for clarity, for peace, for justice. Now it had finally come. Not as she envisioned, but as it should. Her phone rang. It was Janelle. "He knows," the text read. Christine did not respond right away. She didn't have to. They both knew what was next: the fight. Kody's world was starting to fall apart from the inside. Robyn sat him down at the kitchen table, where he sat staring at the lawsuit papers as if they were a foreign text. His normally booming voice was silent, with only the occasional mutter. "She turned them all against me," he said finally. "Janelle, too. They were my family." Robyn placed a hand on his shoulder, but he pulled away. "Don't," he snapped. "I don't need pity." Robyn's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not pitying you, Kody. I'm scared." Kody laughed bitterly. Scared of what? The truth? That was the problem. Kody wasn't afraid of the lawsuit. He was afraid of being exposed. For years, he'd been the patriarch, the man, the one the cameras all circled around. Now, for the first time, he was losing control not only of his family, but of his persona. Meanwhile, Christine and Janelle were getting ready for their initial court appearance. Their attorneys had told them to remain cool, get their facts straight, and not to let emotions get the best of them. Emotions were impossible to suppress, however. They weren't fighting for money. They were fighting for their dignity, for years of being silenced. I don't believe it's come to this, Janelle breathed as they waited outside the courtroom. Christine looked straight ahead. It was always going to. He just didn't think we'd ever stand up. The doors opened and the tension thickened. Kody entered first, flanked by his lawyer, his face red and tight with anger. He didn't look at them. Not even once. When the judge requested opening statements, Kody's lawyer stood firm. Your Honor, this is merely an emotional exaggeration. My client, Mr. Brown, has conducted himself in complete openness in his family and business affairs. There is no impropriety involved. Christine's attorney stood up next. Transparency? She responded coolly. Then why were family funds from their joint account redirected into a private LLC, one that no other wives were told about? This is not an exaggeration, Your Honor. It's an epiphany. The judge leaned forward, intrigued. Do you have proof? Christine's attorney smiled weakly. We do. As she handed over the documents, Kody's composure cracked. He slammed his hand on the table, his voice echoing in the courtroom. This is garbage, lies. They're twisting everything I've done for this family. The judge shot him a warning look. Mr. Brown, control yourself. Christine didn't blink. She'd witnessed that anger before, in the privacy of their homes, behind closed doors, when Kody's pride was bruised. But this time she wasn't intimidated. Janelle leaned in. Let him talk, she breathed. Each word makes him sound worse. Robyn sat in the back of Kody, silently crying tears down her face. She wasn't on yet to testify, but her eyes said enough. Fear, guilt, confusion. She had supported him through all of it, but now even she wasn't certain what she believed any longer. Christine broke her silence at last. Her voice was firm, quiet, but unshakable. Your Honor, we were told year after year that there wasn't enough money. We were told to sacrifice, wait, and trust. Kody and Robyn, however, lived in another world. New houses, new vehicles, hidden accounts. We trusted in family. He trusted in power. The room fell silent. Kody's lawyer objected, but it didn't matter. The judge waved him off. She's answering the question, the judge said. Kody glared at Christine, his jaw tight. You're doing this for the cameras, he hissed under his breath. Christine turned her head slightly, meeting his eyes for the first time. No, she said softly. I'm doing this for the truth. The first day in court ended with no verdict, but the damage was done. The media picked up every word. Sister wives in court, the headlines screamed. Kody Brown accused of financial misconduct. Outside the courthouse, Christine and Janelle were met with flashing cameras and shouted questions. Christine didn't speak. Janelle said only one thing. We're not victims. We're survivors. That night the episode aired. TLC didn't hold back. Viewers saw Kody's temper, the tension in the courtroom, Christine's calm defiance. Social media exploded. Hashtags like Docs Justice for Christine and Doc Team Janelle began trending within hours. Meanwhile, inside Kody's house, chaos reigned. Robyn begged him to stay calm, but he was spiraling. They're turning everyone against me, he shouted, pacing the floor. Even the fans. They think I'm the villain. Robyn dried her tears. Then stop behaving like one, she breathed. He stiffened. His words cut deeper than an accusation. For a moment there was silence. Then he took his keys and stormed out. He drove for hours, over the courthouse, over the mountains, onto the black roads of Flagstaff. He considered all of it, the money, the family, the years of lying. For the first time, he understood what he'd lost wasn't control, it was respect. Christine, on the other hand, sat beside her fireplace, leafing through a dusty old photo album. Snapshots of vacations with the family, holidays, and times that had meant the world. She smiled wistfully and whispered, We were never supposed to last like this. And then her phone rang. Her lawyer was on the line. Christine, she said, there's something you should see. It's concerning the K&R account. There's a new paper that just came up, and it turns everything around. Christine's grip on the phone closed tightly. What do you mean? There was a hesitation on the other end. It's proof, the attorney stated softly, and it's larger than we anticipated. Christine stared out of the window into the darkness, her heart racing. She had no idea yet, but the revelation she was about to witness would not only show Kody for what he was, it would alter the Brown family forever. The following morning brought a cold that penetrated the walls. Christine rose early, struggling to shake the heaviness in her chest. She sat at her kitchen table, her eyes fixed on her phone, waiting for the message from her attorney. When it arrived at last, she opened the file straight away. A PDF entitled, K&R Holdings, Internal Transfers. Her heart raced as she scrolled. Line after line, transaction after transaction, money drawn from the joint family account, presented as maintenance fees, land development, and production refunds. But the dates spoke the truth. The withdrawals coincided with times Kody had informed them the family was broke. Christine muttered to herself, "He was lying to us the entire time." Janelle pulled up a few minutes later, her face white. "You saw it too?" she said, putting down her coffee. Christine nodded, pushing the phone across the table. "Watch this. He invested the family money in property through the LLC, property we never knew was out there." Janelle's jaw clenched. "In Robyn's name." There was weighty silence between them, bitter as raw emotion. The truth was not only betrayal, it was theft. Later that afternoon, their attorneys requested that the new evidence be added to the case. The hearing was rescheduled, and this time it wasn't about drama or family feelings. It was about evidence. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Kody was frantic. He walked back and forth in his living room, holding his phone, calling his attorney repeatedly. "You assured me that this was contained," he growled. "You said they didn't have anything concrete." His attorney's tone was steady but guarded. "They didn't, up until now. Someone leaked that document, I presume." Kody flushed. "Leaked? Who?" Robyn leaned against the window frame, arms crossed, not looking at him. "Perhaps the one you shouldn't have lied to." Kody shot her a dirty look. "What does that have to do with anything?" She faced him, her eyes filling with tears. "It means I'm exhausted, Kody. Exhausted with picking up after you, with standing up for you when I don't even know if what you're telling me is happening is true anymore." Kody's jaw grew taut. "So now you're not for me either?" "I'm not for you," she said gently. I don't know you anymore." The courtroom was filled when the hearing convened. Cameras covered the rear wall, reporters murmured, and the air hummed with anticipation. Christine and Janelle sat together, serene but resolute. Kody walked in last, his face set in defiance, his attorney following behind him with a fat file of refutations. When the judge summoned Christine's attorney to present evidence, the room became silent. "Your Honor," she started, "we have secured records that indicate money from the family's joint business account. Family Traditions LLC was diverted into a private company of sole ownership by Kody and Robyn Brown. This company, K&R Holdings, was spent on property, luxury goods, and assets without the knowledge or approval of the other family members." The lawyer placed a pile of papers on the clerk's desk, and the clerk handed them to the judge. Kody's attorney objected on the spot. "These records were acquired illegally." The judge held up a hand. "Do you have evidence of that, Mr. Walker?" Kody's attorney hesitated. "Not at present, Your Honor." "Then the objection is overruled. Proceed." Christine's attorney went on, scrolling through slides on the courtroom monitor. Every transfer had a story to tell. Every dollar accounted for. Every deception exposed. And then the last photo, a property deed signed by Kody Brown with Robyn Brown as co-owner, bought with money from the family account. The courtroom burst apart. Reporters murmured furiously, and even the judge took a breath before saying, "This is significant." Christine didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply looked at her hands, which were shaking. Kody pounded his hand against the table. "You don't get it. This was for the family. Everything I did was for them." Christine met his gaze, her voice firm but shaking with emotion. "You mean for you, Kody? Everything you did was for you." Janelle nodded to her side. "We trusted you. We believed in you, and you used us like pieces in your own game." Kody gestured angrily across the room. You're ungrateful. You'd have nothing if it weren't for me. The judge's gavel came down hard. Mr. Brown, stop! If you cannot keep a calm head, I will have you removed from this courtroom. The room fell silent. Kody's attorney attempted to get back on top of the situation, but the damage had been done. The judge sat back in his chair, speaking in a calm but firm tone. Mr. Brown, these reports indicate a blatant pattern of financial dishonesty. Whether it was done on purpose or not, the court will decide that. But as things stand now, your credibility is in doubt. Robyn's head slumped. Tears fell silently onto her lap. She was crying for the first time, not for sympathy, but because she knew it was over. Following the hearing, Christine and Janelle emerged to a tidal wave of reporters. Cameras blazed, microphones stretched out. Voices yelled questions. Christine merely responded, "We didn't want to ruin him. We just wanted the truth." That evening, Christine sat by herself on her porch. It was chilly, the stars far away but unchanging. She gazed at the mountains and softly said, "It's almost over." But as she stepped inside, her phone began ringing again, this time from an unknown number. She hesitated to pick it up. "Hello?" A voice on the other end, male, nervous, almost a whisper, told her, "You don't know me, but I used to work with Kody on his business accounts. There's something you need to see, something that wasn't in court today." Christine stalled. "Who is this?" "I can't say," the voice said. "But what I have, it proves everything. And it's worse than you think." The line went dead. Christine's heart pounded as she gazed at her phone. She had just revealed one secret, but now something else even more sinister waited to be revealed. She gazed out the window at the black Flagstaff sky, muttering under her breath, "What else have you been keeping secret, Kody?" Christine didn't sleep that evening. She sat at her dining table, looking at the silent phone after the strange call. The voice had been genuine sounding, scared even, but she'd learned to be careful. For years, she'd taken what people said at face value, and it had cost her everything. Yet something about that call bothered her. If this man had more proof, then perhaps, just perhaps, the truth was richer than even the courts had realized. By morning, she'd decided. She phoned Janelle. "We have to talk," she said. "Now." In less than an hour, Janelle stood at her doorstep, cup of coffee in hand, worry in her eyes. "What's wrong?" Christine explained it all to her. The phone call, the voice, the new evidence. Janelle scowled. "Do you think it's real?" "I don't know," Christine replied softly, "but I can't just blow it off. We've been here too long to give up now." An hour later, an email. The subject line was, "For your eyes only." 3 files were attached: K&R internal memos, property transfers, and one that made Christine's heart sink. Offshore accounts. She opened it. The first page was a list of wire transfers from K&R Holdings to a Cayman Islands account. The name of the account holder, Kody W. Brown. Janelle moved in closer, reading the screen. "He transferred money offshore. While he was telling us the family was broke?" Christine's voice shook. "He didn't just lie to us, Janelle. He stole from us." Tears welled up in her eyes, not shock, but heartbreak. She had thought even in his anger and pride, Kody still had some bit of integrity. But this was betrayal pure and simple. They printed out the documents and drove directly to their lawyer's office. As their attorney read the papers, her face grew grim. "This is different," she told them. "If these are authentic, he could be in serious trouble, not only civil but criminal." Christine's gut clenched. "Do it," she instructed. "Whatever is necessary. No more deception." Meanwhile, Kody was spinning out of control. The media had turned on him, the family had distanced themselves, and even Robyn had retreated into silence. His previously authoritative voice had devolved into bitter muttering as he marched the deserted home. When Robyn finally broke her silence, her voice sounded exhausted. "They're saying that you stashed money." "Is it true?" Kody glared at her. "You think I'd inform you if it was?" She took a step back. "I just need to know what's real, Kody. I stuck by you when everyone else abandoned ship. I need to know what's real." He regarded her, actually looked, and for one brief moment, his rage fractured into something deeper. Fear. "You wouldn't get it," he whispered. "They weren't ever supposed to find out. None of this was ever supposed to happen." That's when Robyn knew the reality. He wasn't denying it. The next day, news blazed like fire. New evidence in the Brown case. Reporters swarmed the courthouse. Social media erupted with theories, clips, and hashtags. The TLC cameras, instructed to cease filming weeks ago, were rolling again. Within the courtroom, Christine remained quiet while her lawyer laid out the new documents. All of the transfers timed, all of the memos signed. Kody sat stiff in his chair, face ashen, eyes unfocused. The voice of the judge boomed through the room. "Mr. Brown, please tell me why these funds were transferred into private offshore accounts in your name." Kody did not respond. His lawyer spoke in hushed tones frantically, but he was silent. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Brown?" Lastly, Kody broke his silence, his tone low, tense. "You think I did this for myself? You think I wanted this?" He waved his arms wildly. "I created this family. I gave them everything. I had to defend what was mine." Christine's eyes welled up with tears, but she didn't avert her gaze. "You mean what was ours?" she said quietly. For an instant, Kody gazed at her. The woman who had been once his partner, his equal, his friend. But all he could see now was the echo of his own failure. The gavel came down on the bench. This court finds enough evidence to proceed with an investigation of financial wrongdoing and fraud. The noise resounded in the room like thunder. Kody's shoulders slumped. Robyn clapped a hand over her mouth, crying softly. Christine and Janelle sat quietly, neither victorious nor mean-spirited, merely relieved. Reporters thronged outside the courthouse once more. Christine drew a breath and spoke at last to the cameras. "I did not do this to break him," she said. "I did it because we all deserve to live in truth. For years we labeled it a family, but a family doesn't lie. A family doesn't hide. A family doesn't break you to keep control." Her words spread like wildfire in hours. Millions viewed, thousands commented. Fans who had once thought they believed in the Brown family dream now realized what it really was: a network of control, lies, and heartbreak. That evening, Christine sat alone beside her fireplace once more. The light of the fire flickered across her face as she whispered to herself, "It's over." But somewhere deep inside, she knew it wasn't truly over. Not yet. Because when she checked her email one last time before bed, there was another message waiting for her. The same sender? It read, "Christine, you've only seen half the truth. There's one more thing Kody's hiding, and it's not about money." Christine's hands trembled as she read the line again. "Not about money." Her breath was caught. She whispered into the hush. "Then what is it?" The camera, had there been a camera rolling, would have backed away then, the flames spitting in the still night, Christine's silhouette against the glow. The Brown family epic wasn't over. It was merely beginning its blackest chapter yet.